Hey, everybody. We are going to do the January 10th daily Bible reading, and I am smiling ecstatically because I've finally figured out this program where I can show you my screen and do the recording at the same time. This makes the third time, and third time's a charm. And I'm ecstatic about it. Yay! So we're going to be doing the January 10th daily Bible reading. We will be starting out in Genesis chapter 19, verse 1, and reading through chapter 20, verse 18. And then we'll be in Psalm 6, verses 1 through 5, Proverbs 3, verses 1 through 4, and then Matthew 8, 1 through 17 will finish us up for the day. So, with that, let's get started. Yay! Now the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground, and he said, "Hear now, my lords, please turn into your servant's house and spend the night, and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way." And they said, "No, but we will spend the night in the open square." But he insisted strongly. So they turned in to him and entered his house. Then he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Now before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter, surrounded the house. And they called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them carnally." To know them carnally means that they knew them sexually, like a man knows a woman, a husband knows a wife. They sought homosexual relations with the visitors. God's attitude toward this vile behavior became clear when he destroyed the city. And there's many other places in the Bible where it talks about this being an unacceptable behavior to God. So Lot went out to them through the doorway, shut the door behind him, and said, "Please, my brethren, do not do so wickedly. See now, I have 2 daughters who have not yet known a man. Please let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, since this is the reason they have come under the shadow of my roof." And they said, "Stand back." Then they said, "This one came in to stay here, and he keeps acting as a judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them." So they pressed hard against the man Lot and came near to break down the door. But the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them and shut the door. They struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they became weary trying to find the door. Then the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here? Son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, and whomever you have in the city? Take them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because the outcry against them has grown great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, "Get up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city." But to his sons-in-law, he seemed to be joking. When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, "Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city." And while he lingered, the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. So it came to pass, when they had brought them outside, that he said, "Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be destroyed." Then Lot said to them, "Please, no, my lords. Indeed, now your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have increased your mercy, which you have shown me by saving my life. But I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil overtake me and I die. See now, this city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Please let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live." And he said to him, "See, I have favored you concerning this thing also, in that I will not overthrow this city for which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there." Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. So he overthrew those cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. So brimstone from the Lord out of heavens. When morning came, that was verse 23, judgment fell. Any natural explanation about how the Lord used combustible sulfur deposits to destroy that locale falters on this emphatic indication of a miraculous judgment. Brimstone could refer to any inflammable substance, perhaps a volcanic eruption and an earthquake with a violent electrical storm overthrew, which is used in verse 25, the area. That area is now believed to be under the south end of the Dead Sea. Burning gases, sulfur, and magma blown into the air all fell to bury the region. So verse 26, but his wife looked back behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord. Then he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, and he saw, behold, the smoke of the land, which went up like the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had dwelt. Then Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountains. And his 2 daughters were with him, for he was afraid to dwell in Zoar. And he and his 2 daughters dwelt in a cave. Now the firstborn said to the younger, our father is old, and there is no man on the earth to come to us, as is the custom of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the lineage of our father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. It happened on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, indeed, I lay with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, and you go in and lie with him, that we may preserve the lineage of our father. Then they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot were with child by their father. The firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. And the younger, she also bore a son and called his name Ben-Ami. He is the father of the people of Ammon to this day, the Ammonites. So chapter 20. Before we go on, Jesus says that it will be as it was in the days of Lot, when he returns again. And, well, we're really seeing a lot of that. But here's another thing that I want to point out. I talk to a lot of people all the time about the fact that, Jesus could come back for us at any time. Everything that has to happen before the rapture, that was prophesied that had to happen before the rapture, it's all happened. It's all there. It's all done. And there's many, many reasons, besides everything that's going on in this horrible world that we live in, to believe that, it's time. Any time now, God's going to come back and get us. He's going to send Jesus, and he's going to say it's time. And when I talk to people, a lot of the time they're like, but this is happening, that's happening. I've got to see this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this. Lot's wife looked back, and she was turned into a pillar of salt. The Lord tells us over and over and over through the Bible, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. And seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. So it kind of worries me for people whenever they say, but I'm not ready for the Lord to come back yet. I've got to do all this stuff. Well, this world is not my home. My home is with Jesus. And I'm looking forward to being at the marriage supper of the Lamb, and then living in the millennial kingdom, and then the life eternal that God has for us. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to have a lot of family members and a lot of friends that are there with me. And it's my belief that those that don't make it to heaven for whatever reason we weren't able to reach them or whatever, that there will be no memories of them. And the reason there won't be any memories of them is because there's no tears in heaven. If there was memories of lost loved ones, there would be tears in heaven. And there isn't any. That's what God said. And so that's what he meant. So anyway, that was a side. Sorry. Sometimes I get on a soapbox. Chapter 20 of Genesis. And Abraham journeyed from there to the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and stayed in Gerar. Now Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, "She is my sister." And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, "Indeed, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife." But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, "Lord, will you slay a righteous nation also? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'?" And she herself said, "He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocence of my hands, I have done this." And God said to him in a dream, "Yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart, for I also withheld you from sinning against me. Therefore I did not let you touch her. Now therefore restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not restore her, know that you shall surely die, you and all who are yours." So Abimelech rose early in the morning, called all his servants, and told all these things in their hearing. And the men were very much afraid. And Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? How have I offended you, that you have brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? You have done deeds to me that ought not to be done." Then Abimelech said to Abraham, "What did you have in view that you have done this thing?" And Abraham said, "Because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will kill me on account of my wife. But indeed she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, 'This is your kindness, that you should do for me in every place wherever we go, say of me, he is my brother.' Then Abimelech took sheep, oxen, and male and female servants, and gave them to Abraham, and he restored Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelech said, 'See, my land is before you. Dwell where it pleases you.' Then to Sarah he said, 'Behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Indeed, this vindicates you before all who are with you, and before everybody.' Thus she was rebuked. So Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech his wife and his female servants. Then they bore children, for the Lord had closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Now we go to Psalm 6, 1 through 5. It's to the chief musician, with stringed instruments on an 8-stringed harp, a psalm of David. O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger, nor chasten me in your hot displeasure. Have mercy on me, O Lord, for I am weak. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are troubled. My soul also is greatly troubled, but you, O Lord, how long? Return, O Lord, deliver me. O save me for your mercy's sake. For in death there is no remembrance of you. In the grave, who will give you thanks? Now we're going to go to Proverbs 3, verses 1 through 4. My son, do not forget my law, but let your heart keep my commands. For length of days and long life and peace they will add to you. So if you turn that around, it says, if you keep my law and your heart, and let your heart keep my commandments, you will have longer days, longer life, and peace. That those things will add to you by keeping God's law and his commandments. Verse 3, let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, and so find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. So neck and heart, found in verse 3. The virtues of mercy, the Hebrew word for loving kindness and loyal love and truth that come from God, are to become part of us outwardly in our behavior for all to see as an adornment of spiritual beauty, and inwardly as the subject of our meditation. Such inward and outward mercy and truth is evidence of New Covenant salvation. Matthew 8, verses 1 through 17. It's going to finish this up for the day. When he had come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, a leper came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Then Jesus put out his hand and touched him, saying, I am willing, be cleansed. Immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus said to him, See that you tell no one, but go your way. Show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that Moses commanded as a testimony to them. Now when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, pleading with him, saying, Lord, my servant is lying at home paralyzed, dreadfully tormented. And Jesus said to him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this one, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes, and to my servant, Do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled and said to those who followed, Assuredly, I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel. And I say to you that many will come from east and west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom, that's not the kingdom of heaven, it says the sons of the kingdom, will be cast out into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then Jesus said to the centurion, Go your way, and as you have believed, so let it be done for you. And his servant was healed that same hour. So the sons of the kingdom are those who belong to this world. It says the kingdom. Up above that, it said the kingdom of heaven. So when it's talking about the kingdom of heaven, it specifies kingdom of heaven, but of the kingdom is of the world. So now when Jesus had come into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother lying sick with a fever. So he touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she arose and served them. When evening had come, they brought to him many who were demon-possessed, and he cast out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick. Did you know that all means all? He healed them all. It was all his will to heal them all, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, He himself took our infirmities and bore our sicknesses. All. He heals all. He is a healer. He heals all. Day 10, the application. How can we study and apply some of the Proverbs if we don't understand them? More often than not, those Proverbs that at first seem unclear or contradictory turn out instead to be elusive and deep. Proverbs sometimes do state obvious truths. Their meaning is crystal clear. For example, chapter 17, verse 25, A foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her who bore him. But many Proverbs require thoughtful meditation. For example, chapter 16, verse 33, The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. Or chapter 16, verse 25, There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. The fact that we may have to search the rest of the scripture or work at thinking ought to make Proverbs dearer to us. If God has chosen this unusual approach to help us grow, why would we hesitate to give our full attention to Proverbs? Given the context that surrounds Proverbs, the rest of God's Word, a student's failure to grasp a proverb ought not to lead to the conclusion that there's something wrong with this book. A better conclusion would be that the student doesn't know yet or hasn't paid enough attention. A wise person puts an elusive proverb on hold for further understanding rather than rejecting it as useless. God's further lessons in that person's life may well cast a new light on parts of the Bible that have been difficult to interpret in the past. That concludes the January 10th Daily Bible Reading. Thanks for joining in, and I will see you tomorrow. And I am so excited about having this working where you can see the words as I read, and you can read along with me. Thanks for joining in.